welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Marina here, and I am so excited to have you back. If it's your first time here, you're welcome. My name is Marina. I make videos from Saskatoon, Canada, where I share about life issues and my experiences as a Nigerian immigrant in Canada. Please do well to hit the subscribe button and turn on the notification so you know every time I upload a new video. To the returning subscribers, welcome back. I am still so excited to have you here. So guys, in today's video, I'm going to be talking about something that I promised you guys that I was going to talk about, and it is tips on negotiating your salary in Canada. Okay, I find that negotiating salary is something that not a lot of people are skilled in, and today, from my experiences, I'm just going to be sharing with you useful tips that you need to pay attention to when you're considering negotiating your salary in Canada. If you want to learn more about that, you know what to do. Definitely keep watching. Video that I did, in the video where I was talking about how I went from student to staff, I'll link that somewhere on the screen for you to go and take a look at. If you haven't seen that video, I encourage you to please watch that. In that video, I mentioned how I got offered a job and I negotiated my salary. I also mentioned in that video that I'll share with you guys why I didn't think that was a good idea. Negotiating the salary was not the bad idea. Negotiating my salary on a whim without doing proper research, I would say, is what I'm going to discourage anybody from doing. It worked for me, but please don't try that, because it can very quickly work against you. So today I'm going to be sharing with you useful tips that you want to pay attention to when you're negotiating your salary, especially as somebody who's still trying to find their feet in Canada. Maybe not a fresh newcomer, but somebody who's now trying to navigate the job market. Like, you're trying to transition from one job to another job in Canada. What do I have to do? What do I pay attention to? How do I negotiate in that context? So that's what I'm going to be sharing with you today. The first thing I need you to understand is in applying for a job, when you apply for a job and you get called back by an employer, it is an indication to you that you have some kind of value that the employer needs. The employer has found something they need in your profile, in your resume, in the cover letter, or whatever it is you submitted. They have found something they need. They see value in what you've submitted, and that's why they're reaching out to say, hey, can we talk about this? That's why you get called back to get invited for that interview, because they see something they need. So think about it from that angle. You are providing value. So in negotiating your salary, it's like trying to put a price tag on the value that you bring to the table. But you need to understand that you're bringing value. It is a mutually beneficial relationship. You're providing something to the employer, and they are giving you a benefit or a wage or a salary or whatever it is. They're giving you something in return. So it's a mutually beneficial relationship. It's not charity. The employer is not doing you a favor. Okay, I just need you to remember that. One of the most important things that you want to pay attention to when considering negotiating your wage is timing. You do not go for an interview and they say, is there any other question you want to ask me? That is the absolute wrong time to start to talk about wage. It is advisable for you to let the employer take the lead. When the interview process has reached a certain stage, then they would initiate the conversation about wage, about benefits and things like that. It is important that you do not go ahead of yourself in that process. It is always safer for you to let the employer take the lead when it comes to that. That's not to say you're not prepared. Whenever it comes up, you will be prepared to follow that conversation, but just don't be the one pushing or initiating the conversation. It can very quickly work against you. Okay, that being said, the next thing that you want to do is research. You want to make sure you're doing proper research. By the time you're applying for that job, I assume that before you even click send on that application, you have gone to check what is obtainable in the market for that role, for somebody with your years of experience, for somebody with your education, for somebody with the skills that you're going to be bringing to that role. What's the percentage match between your profile and the job profile, right? How much of the skills needed on that job do you already have? Go and check. In the market, for somebody with my education, my years of experience, the skills that I bring to the table, what is the going rate for this role? There are tools that are online that you can use to check what the market rates for certain roles are. They may not be very accurate in giving you the exact going rate, but it will provide like a guide for you to have an idea what people with your similar qualification, your similar education, what they're earning in the market. So you want to make sure you're taking advantage of tools like that. I know that Glassdoor is a very useful tool, and there's another one called called pay scale. You can go in there, put your qualification, your years of experience, and the industry that you're working in, and it would give you like a rough average of what the going rate in the market is. And then when you get those figures, you price yourself a little higher. Okay. So yes, you must do a lot of research to find out that you're not shooting yourself in the foot, to find out that you're not pricing yourself lower than what it should be in the market. Now, there's some kind of jobs where on the job posting, they tell you like the salary range. I know that a number of the government postings do that. They tell you this is the salary band. Typically be a range. They'll tell you maybe this role, we're going to pay you between 50 and 75,000. That's the range. They would determine, using your previous qualification, to determine where you fall in that range, and then your negotiation skills can also influence where you eventually end up in the range. Okay, for the people who don't put the salary range, it's a little more tricky because you don't know where to start from. That's why it's important for you to research and check what the average, have like a rough idea what the market is looking like for that particular role. Okay, another useful tip for you when you're considering negotiating your wage, especially here in Canada, is to justify. You need to bring your strong reasons. You guys, nobody is going to offer you $10,000 more because you say so. Nobody is going to offer you a higher salary because you beg them, or because you have 5 children, or because your grandmother is in the village and she needs surgery. That's not a good enough reason to ask for more money. You have to be able to justify it with results. You have to be able to provide a clear relationship between results with things that you have achieved before and the role that you're trying to get into. You are trying to tell them that, you see, this role that I'm trying to get into, I succeeded in this role before, this is how I succeeded, this is the value that I brought, and for that reason I deserve to be compensated more. Bring your strong reasons. You must be able to justify the amount of money you're asking for. Okay, so sit down, think, look at your profile. What has been the highlights of your profile? What's been the highlights of your career so far? What did you achieve doing a similar role like the one that you're trying to get into? Those things, you sit down, write them down. When it's time to now really negotiate, you want to be able to provide those things seamlessly to say, you know what, I am worth what I'm asking for. I know this job, I know my onions, I know the value that I bring to the table, and I deserve what I'm asking for. That is what you're going to use to sell your case. It's not sentiment. Nobody offers you more money because of sentiment. Okay, so make sure you have reasons, very valid reasons, why the increase you're asking for is going to be justified. Because at the end of the day, it's a business for the employer as well, and everybody wants to reduce expenses and maximize profits. So you're not just going to say, give me more money, and they'll throw it at you. It's a business. They're trying to maximize their profits as well. So you have to put that into consideration to say, if they're going to give you more money, they want to be sure that they're going to be getting value for what they're paying for, and that's exactly what you want to put in front when you're negotiating your salary. Okay, another very common mistake that I see a lot of people make in Canada is that you negotiate only money. People assume that when it comes to negotiating a wage, when the employer makes you an offer, and then you just say, I want more money, and then after that, that's it. There are a lot of non-monetary benefits that not a lot of people are very aware of. Not a lot of people understand how those things work. Guys, trust me, even me, there are still a number of things that I don't fully understand, but luckily I have people that I can always go to and say, hey, I don't understand this. It took a while for me to even understand my pay stub. I think on my first job, when I got the pay stub, like, I did not understand jack. I did not know how to interpret a number of the line items on my pay stub. So there are some things that you will not fully understand, okay, but they are non-monetary benefits that you can also negotiate. It is becoming increasingly popular for employers to offer extended healthcare. Like, for those of you who don't know, basic healthcare in Canada is free, but when it comes to things like dental, like vision, like prescription medication, and then when it gets to all those other serious conditions, it's not covered. But employers offer a certain percentage, like sometimes it's 70% or 80%, depending on what it is that's being covered. Extended healthcare is becoming a more popular benefit that employers are offering. So it's not money in your pocket, but in the event that you have to go to the hospital and you need prescription medication, your employer can pay up to a certain percentage of the cost of that medication so that you pay the balance. And most times the balance that the employee is left to pay is usually the tiny part. Then there's the cost of dental. Guys, take it from me, dental work in Canada is expensive. My son had to have a tooth extracted recently, and yo, when they told me how much it was, when I calculated what it would have cost me if I was paying for that out of pocket, it is a lot of money. I'm talking about over $1,000 to have a cavity filled and one tooth extracted. But because I have that as a benefit, I did not pay a dime for that. So imagine getting saved that much money, even though the cost of that benefit is not coming to me, it's not coming in my paycheck, but in the event that I needed it, it saved me more than $1,000. So that's a benefit that employers are offering. That's something to pay attention to. Dental, like vision, I've had my glasses replaced, I've had eye tests, I've had more than one glasses covered under the cost of, I think it was my husband's benefit, I can't remember, but I know that I've had to do vision, I've had to do my glasses, and it did not cost me anything directly because it was a benefit that was offered by, I think, one of our employers. I'm not very sure. There are people who are able to negotiate professional development into their contracts to say, hey, I want to study, how much of this can you cover? And there are employers who are willing to do that. Okay, so keep your heart open to non-monetary benefits as well, because in case you don't know, the tax system in Canada is the more you earn, the more you pay as taxes. If you negotiate so much money, you're going to just be pushing yourself into higher tax brackets, and at the end of the day, your take-home pay might not be as fantastic as you assume it will be because the gross figure is large. So also with the tax fee, if the gross figure is large, the tax is going to be really huge. So you want to pay attention to that while you're negotiating benefits. One very important thing I like you to note is, like I said, the employer is running a business. They want to be able to reduce expenses and maximize their profits. You have to give room for compromise. There has to be a place where you step down and say, okay, this is my meeting point. You are not going to be able to get everything that you want. It's a chance for both people. The employer is taking a chance. The new person is taking a chance as well. But you must give room for compromise. There will be things that you want that the employer might not be able to provide, and they will offer you something else in its place. Have minimum requirements. You cannot insist. It's not going to be 100% what you want. That's basically what I'm trying to explain here. Give room for compromise. And you also want to be careful with making too many demands when you're negotiating a salary. You want to be careful with making too many demands so you don't come across as greedy, don't come across as unreasonable. That can quickly become a turn off and it can work against you. So you want to pay attention to things like that, to be sure that you're reasonable, to be sure that you're making realistic demands, not the one that they put on the job posting. Salary band is 50 to 75k, and then you want to negotiate your salary, ask for 100,000. Wow. And that's not going to happen. Nobody's even going to pay attention to you. You can shoot yourself in the foot like that, and they will quickly call the number 2 person on the list. You understand what I mean? So let there be room for compromise. Be realistic in your demands. Be realistic. Know when to step back. And with that, knowing when to step back, knowing how to judge the situation, you're going to need a lot of your instincts, and you need to learn to trust your instincts. You're going to need to know when to say, what is an absolute deal breaker for me? Can I accept that? I accept it. Trust your instincts. When it is too much, somewhere at the back of our minds, we know. Trust your instincts. It is absolute. I cannot emphasize that enough. Trust your instincts. And by anything I've said here today, I want you to remember this one. We're in very uncertain times. I want you to pay attention and understand the times. In negotiating your salary, in trying to determine what offer to accept based on what the pay is, based on what they're offering you, you need to understand the times. The world, I don't believe, is going to go back to the way it was pre-pandemic. I don't think it will. You will have to be sensitive and understand the times. You will have to be sensitive and be realistic in the kind of demands that you're making now. A lot of people have lost their jobs. The job market globally is a bit somehow, we haven't seen it like this before because of the number of people that have lost their jobs, the number of people whose jobs are no longer going to be relevant because a lot more organizations are transitioning to virtual options and remote options. Think about it. If all the training I have is as a manual file manager, manage paper records in an organization, and that organization transitions into remote work, what will I be doing? Will I carry the office file cabinet to my house? If there are skills that you need to upgrade to make sure that you're still relevant for the times, absolutely, it's a good time for you to learn, to be sure that you're still measuring the skills that you have with the skills that have become more needed in the world. there are a lot of things that are no longer going to be as relevant as they were in the past, and you want to be sure that you are positioning yourself for the way the global job market is now. If you're learning new skills, that would be good. Understand the times. It will help you to know what to ask for and what not to ask for. It will help you to manage your expectations, right? So that you don't get constantly disappointed. So these are tips that I would say everybody needs to pay attention to when it comes to the issue of negotiating your salary. Okay, it is not out of place to negotiate your salary. It is very common. It is almost expected, especially here in Canada, where I come from in Nigeria. It is not typical that people negotiate their salaries, but here in Canada it's a thing. When the employer makes you an offer, there's a common saying that I've heard many times that you should never accept the first offer. That's a mistake I've made before, and I don't want you to make the same mistake. Okay, so yeah guys, these are the tips that I'll be sharing with you on what to pay attention to when negotiating your salary in Canada. Be realistic with yourself. Be realistic with yourself, be realistic with your skills, and be realistic in your expectations of the employer. Okay, thank you very much for watching this video, guys. If you learned anything from it, please do want to leave me a comment below and let me know what you learned from this. If there's something else you would like me to concentrate on and talk about, you know what to do. Send me an email. My email address is always in the description box of my videos. You can also leave me a comment below and I'll be sure to address what your concern is. Until I come your way in my next video, it's your girl Marina saying thank you and have an amazing day. Bye bye.